conversations. Let's have real conversations.
Get ready to stir it up.
Life events and everything in between. Let's go.
Get ready to stir it up.
No capping. If guests got you covered right up.
Get ready to stir it up. Stir it up.
Come on.
Get ready to stir it up.
Welcome to Stir It Up. And this time I'm bringing you Stir It Up from Nairobi. I'm talking to Emron.
Emron, yes.
Emron is a longtime colleague of mine and friend. We've been out of touch, but here we are connecting again.
Yes.
Would you like to tell us a bit about yourself?
My name is Emron Alemu, and I'm a creative. I'm founder and chief creative officer at The Collective Africa, which is an Africa-wide creative entity. And then I'm a creative entrepreneur. So I've been, over the last couple of years, beyond growing a collective, reinvesting in other creative enterprises, which include some other agencies and some spaces in record labels, production, etc. So yeah.
Emron and I are talking about the pitch of a lifetime.
Yes.
And just winning in the messy middle of creative entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And we're having this conversation because he did the brave thing that most creatives don't do.
Yeah.
Well, they think about,
But then they don't pull the trigger.
but they don't ever really pull the trigger. So let's start. Last 3 years, three words.
Yes. Last 3 years, chaos. That's definitely a daily factor. Humility, because however great you are, there's things that happen and you're like, oh, okay, cool. I need to rethink and relearn. But then freedom as well. And I guess freedom comes with its own perils.
Yes.
I guess a bird that's flying in the sky could, I don't know, crash and fall, you know. So yeah, there's freedom, and it has its perks,
Yes.
but it also comes with its risks. So yeah, chaos, because every day, doesn't matter how well you plan, something somewhere is not going to go as planned. And sometimes it's big chaos, sometimes it's regular chaos. So it's about managing that. Humility, because there are things that you're going to learn or situations you're going to be in that are going to force you to realize that however smart you are, however well trained you've been, or however great you are in your journey, there are moments where you will realize you either don't know or have a lot of learning to do. So yeah, chaos, humility, freedom.
I love that you've talked about real things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time we go straight to saying the things people want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a mixed bag of positives, but at the same time, real things that happen to you when you start being an entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, true.
And the humility one especially is one that I get. Because sometimes you have this great idea, this great pitch.
Oh yeah.
And you're thinking, this is magic.
Of course. And you think you know, and you think, I've done this 100 times, and I've won 1 million pitches, and I've won globally and locally, and I've done these great things. But there's going to be moments whereby you think you're doing exactly what made you win in the past, and it doesn't work. And you have to sit back and wonder, what did I not know? What do I need to relearn or unlearn? So it's that, yeah. But again, it's the price of freedom.
It is the price.
Yeah, it is the price of freedom. Yeah.
So you've talked about learning.
Yes.
And I see our industry changing a lot. What are the biggest shifts you've seen in the last couple of years, both in the big agencies, but also from the client side? And what are the opportunities that lie therein?
So I can speak first and foremost about the work.
Yes.
If the work is not as human as it can be, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So you have to think from within the culture. So interrogate the culture, understand what people are doing. And it's beyond just a report that tells you what people said. It's about interacting with culture in its natural habitat. Going and sitting with people and people watching. I keep telling people, don't use your money to go out partying. Use your money to go out and people watch. Go sit in a corner, watch how people behave, see how they interact, just like you would go to a national park. Because again, these are the same people you're going to communicate with. You have to understand their patterns. So you have to fully understand the people that you're talking to as human beings and whatever their patterns are. So there's that. Technology obviously plays a role, and technology's democratized a lot of things, especially when you look at spaces like content. The people who are getting into content, it's no longer a matter of having to have a big budget to get involved. And then when you look at a lot of the younger talent now, they are less willing to wait for their greatness, which means they're finding ways of getting there faster.
Pushing the...
Yes, and someone walks in, like someone I was interviewing about 4 weeks ago, walked in with a few sheets of paper of some scripts that she'd actually handwritten and a little portfolio of some social campaigns she'd put together. And I said, cool, what role are you looking for in this organization? And she said, creative director.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, but there's a process to that. Because I know that, if you're a writer, you start off as a junior writer, this, that, the other, till you're a senior writer, till you eventually become a creative director. If it's art, you start off as DTP, and you're doing the basic tasks till you become a senior art director, then a creative. She's like, no, I want to be a creative director. And when I showed her the journey, she said, no. There's a mentee, I have, who is in the world of makeup. And when she initially reached out, I reached out to people in the industries that could work with her production. And I introduced her to people. And then she saw the journey. And I said, okay, cool. Initially, I'm being invited for few opportunities. And then down the line, I'll be trusted with a bigger film and so on.
No.
She said, nah, this is not for me. I'm going to build my profile online. And that's actually worked for her. So she's understood as her generation that technology gives you greater access and more immediate opportunities. So that's what she's done. So a lot of young people are figuring out ways to get there faster because they're not going to be patient. And then beyond being relevant, you have to be human in whatever you're creating. Yes. Otherwise, it just simply doesn't work. So yeah, those are two key changes I've seen in the industry.
So I want to double click a bit on the in culture piece you were talking about and the insights. People watching is definitely something that we should do.
Yes.
Because even when you're looking at data, it doesn't always tell you the real story. I had an episode and I was talking to 2 Gen Zers and I asked them, because alcohol consumption in young people is going down.
Significantly.
Which is interesting. I mean, I was surprised. I was thinking, but young people like to drink, they like to get high. And you know what he said? He says, I want to remember my experience the morning after.
See?
He says, I want to remember her smile. I want to remember, I don't want to be so spaced out.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And if you're not listening to these kinds of conversations,
then you will not.
Then you will not be creating work that's relevant to these people.
Very true. And it's a lot of different things. Like recently, there's things that will not show up on the report. Because a report will give you the numbers. It will give you someone's net worth. It will tell you where they live. But it will not tell you why they care about the environment. And you're like, what's a 20-year-old doing caring about the environment?
But
They do. And I remember sitting in the session talking to a client saying, sustainability is a big deal. And they said, no. And then we said, cool, let's go interact with your consumer. And we kept testing 4 or 5 different ideas. And the one that had to do with sustainability kept scoring high. And we kept changing the groups because according to the client, it didn't make sense. Because according to the client, 18 to 24-year-olds don't care about the environment. I said, we're surprised as well, but it's not data, it's people who are telling us this. And so eventually we came to realization, as you said, you have to have conversations with people. You have to sit down with them and understand their motivations and their fears, not based off what a report says, but based on the conversations, exactly that kind of feedback that you're talking about. You're not going to get off a report. It's going to be sitting with people and asking them questions.
Yes, boss. Thank you. And I say thank you because a lot of the time we look at others through our own lenses. Yeah. Because I like things a certain way, my assumption is everybody also likes things that way. Okay. So bringing it back into our own world, creatives, we find that more and more creatives consider breaking out.
Yes.
What do you think is driving that?
There's a range of factors. I believe each individual has the reason, or they'll give you their reason.
Okay.
There's the reason that they'll state, which is their pitch deck reason, where they say this, and I'm creating this, and I felt that the industry had this gap. And as someone who broke out, I do engage in a lot of conversations with other people who broke out, because we do meet, we do ask each other questions, we exchange knowledge. And then also when someone's considering breaking out, they'll reach out to someone who recently broke out. And
What's up?
exactly, they'll be like, hey man, tell me what it's like. What do I need to look out for? And when I listen to their reasons and I look beyond the fluff and the big presentation of why they're doing what they're doing, it boils down to some form of frustration. And I think the two most common ones, one is financial. And a lot of people come early stage and they're like, oh, now, especially because they're seniors most times, I see how much the company makes from me, and I feel I'm worth more than this. And I do tell them, look, the company, you look at a sheet of paper and you notice the company is asking for significantly more money for your time. What you're not looking at is the cost beyond your check. You know, the company takes care of a lot of things that you don't see. Yeah. There's certain overheads as a result of having you in that company that you take for granted. Computers are expensive. Keeping the lights on, rent, depending on where the space is, might not be. But there's things that also you have to factor in. A company is not just going to pay you for the work done. If you're on a salary, if you're earning a check, what that means is even when the company is not making money, that check is coming.
Yes.
So the company is charging that extra, that buffer, because they know person X is doing great now. And there's 3 to 4 back-to-back projects where, yes, they're making the company a lot of money. But you could go through a year where when we evaluate your individual performance,
you haven't brought in
you
as
haven't
much
brought
money.
in any money at all, but still you'll get a check. A lot of industries laid off people during COVID, but there's a lot of ad agencies that kept people during COVID, yet they were losing money. So the financial frustration I do understand, but I do sometimes view it as a bit of a novice stake, right? Because then the card will be flipped on you when you're running a business and you realize, oh snap, I need to charge 2 times, 3 times what I pay this person just to be able to keep them here and keep the lights on and so on. But the second frustration...
Let's stay on that for a moment. So I love that you say that. And I think what's happened is you've had the experience, but also you were senior. So you had a lot more visibility than others would have.
Yes, yes.
Did you have that mindset before breaking out? Or did breaking up amplify it or change it for you?
The mindset of understanding why it came after.
It came after.
It came after because I did also have that mindset of, I once saw a fee proposal to a client and I'm like, hold on. Are you telling me that for what they're billing for my time, my salary equals just 2 days? You know, and I'm like, I was so upset. I'm like, I'm getting played and this, that, the other. And then later you realize there's a lot more. There's a lot more that goes. It's not just that.
Yes.
Because otherwise, then where's the furniture coming from?
Yes.
Where's the little things always add up.
It's interesting you say that because about a year ago, I was having a conversation with a young guy who was saying exactly what you're saying. And he says, but my salary is only X. And I said, do you know that there's something called payroll costs?
Yes.
Just even to keep a payroll,
Yes.
there are costs that you don't see.
Yes.
Right? So it's good you say this because there are a lot of unseen costs. So there's your direct cost, and even with your direct cost, there are taxes that the company covers, there's insurance that the company covers, and so on. But beyond that, there is also, like you're saying, the overhead cost, which is computers and all of that.
Yeah.
What I wonder though, is it useful for agencies to start teaching people the business of agencies and how agencies make money?
It would be useful, but the truth is, and I did try it with some of the people I started working with earlier to explain it to them.
Okay.
We have to come to realization, human beings are innately selfish. They don't care. They could care less. As far as they're concerned, this rent is not my problem. Your utility bill and the cost of travel or the insurance you have to pay, that's not my problem. That's on you. Okay. So, and I can see it when you're trying to explain to people the actual cost of an individual. There's actually 2 individuals who I know very well, and they've come to me and they said, look, we know you from the past. Just hire us. We know your company. This is a perfect fit for us. Currently, we hate where we're at. And I'm like, okay, cool. How much do you want me to pay you? And then they give me a figure. And they're like, we know you can afford this because we know how much you make. I say, no. I can afford your salary. What about the other costs? And they're like, what do you mean? And I start breaking down for them how much they cost and how much business they'd have to bring in for it to make sense. And they're like, oh, exactly. Because you don't see those things. And also as a young creative entrepreneur in my first couple of years, I lost a lot of money like that. Because I'm billing for surface things. And I remember having these amazing quotes approved and invoices, and they go out to a client, and eventually the client pays. And at the end of the year,
it's nothing.
I'm like,
wait a minute.
What's happening with the margins? So then I sat down with my accountant, and I realized, like, a very basic mistake is also not understanding taxation. Because my model involves working with people from different parts of the continent. So I'm charging, someone says, I want to be paid $5,000 for this project. And so I'm billing $5,000. And I forget that if this person is in a Ghana, in a South Africa, in a Malawi or Zambia, their $5,000 is $6,000.
Because there's withholding
tax. There's a withholding tax.
There's the VAT.
Yes. And then, yes, if it's South Africa, it's double taxation. So it's actually $5,000 is $6,700 or $6,800. Then there's the cost of currency, because depending on what the shilling or whatever currency I'm receiving that money in, so some of my clients are receiving pounds, but then I'm paying out in dollars. So I have to change that money, and then I have to work with the rate of the day. Remember, the only way I'm transferring this money is via bank. And the bank is going to give me a negotiated rate, which is not as great as a Forex bureau. So me going to xe.com to see what the rate is doesn't matter. So you have to factor in all these costs, And it's small things as well involved in working with that person, because there's going to be costs that seem soft. But again, internet's a cost. Yeah. Transportation's a cost. Communication it's a cost as well. Yeah. Small things like stationery. Over time, the small things do add up.
And when you work in a big agency, you pick 7 pieces of A4 paper, you use one and you throw it away.
And you throw and you print and you do this, and then you realize, or even when it comes to just gatherings, because people are going to work till late. And I do remember working in a big agency, and I was like, why are they so petty about the little meals that people get at night when they're working late? But then you look at that cost and you're like, this is minimal for what this company makes. But over a year,
it adds up.
It adds up to something significant. It's small team building exercises. Over 6 departments, over 4 quarters, it adds up to something. So if you don't factor in those costs, you have this excellent billing that you put forward. And then when the money comes in, it looks great on the bank balance.
But operationally...
And then once you paid out, you're like, hold on. Where's my money? Exactly. Yeah. And so it's that.
What would the second thing be?
Second thing is, I feel a lot of the frustration is there's a significant number of senior creatives who do not feel, and again, it's value but in a different form. Okay. Value in terms of opinion.
Okay.
Very few of the big agencies are actually run by creatives, when you think about it. And from the sense I get, a lot of these creatives also do end up leaving because they're like, no one's listening to my point of view. And they're like, I have a point of view now as a senior creative on how I think we should run things. And I think we should pivot on certain things. I think we should treat people a certain way. And they keep going and they keep trying to get their point across. And they get to a point where they're like, you know what? No one's listening to me. Let me go out and create this world that I feel people should work. Exactly. So that's the second frustration.
Does that ladder back to the freedom you talked about, right? So the freedom is with your time, but freedom could be so many things, isn't it? But it's just the freedom to actually do what you want to do.
Yes.
From even a creative perspective.
True,
maybe.
and it's actually not time, because when you're running an enterprise,
You
you're
don't-
you're a slave. Even now, after this, it's a weekend, I'm heading to the office.
Yes.
And I guarantee you it's going to get to 10 p.m., I'll be the only one there, apart from one or two of my juniors.
Yes.
And it will get to 2 a.m., and that's every day. If I look at, apart from the last maybe I'd say maybe 3 or 4 weekends,
Okay.
every single day from around February 2024, if you don't count Christmas, I've been working. And so,
How does that impact family, though?
one, I think I'm lucky that my wife is ex-agency.
Yes.
So she gets it. I think my son struggles with it. I have a son who's at that age where they want time and attention. So he will come and chill at the office.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes he'll come do his homework from there. But weekends he'll want to come through and hang out. But yeah, it does impact family in a significant way. But it has to get done.
Yeah.
And there's a person who explained to me, it's early stages, it is what it is. So anyone who's thinking of forming their own thing because, I'll get to chill. Interesting thing is the first year I had a lot of that free time because you have not grown the business to a point that it's that busy.
Okay.
So you do a project, it pays well, you have another 2-3 weeks.
You have
break.
downtime.
Exactly, and it's amazing. And it's the middle of the day and you're watching Netflix, you know. You
Or
go take a walk.
you can take a walk.
Yes, you go take a walk. And I live in a neighborhood called Kilimani, and I used to see these guys when I'm going to work taking walks at 10 o'clock. So now I'm walking around the neighborhood at 10. I'm like, yeah, now I'm one of these guys. But those guys are people who've probably built their businesses to a point whereby they need to be less involved. At this stage, my business was new, so it hadn't grown to a point whereby it was keeping me fully occupied. But once you start chasing big business, once you start developing a reputation, you will become a slave to your enterprise for a period of time, yeah.
Understood. And I like that you say for a period of time because it's important to think about it as something that you do to build the right foundations.
Yes.
And then put the structure in place so that it can almost run
Yes.
on its own to give
Exactly.
you that balance that
Yeah,
you need as a
yeah.
person. Anything else?
When you talk about structures, it's another thing that I had to learn the hard way. Because you leave and you think, my mission is going to be to create the most fundamentally different creative vision and to sit with people and create the most amazing work and shake the world with how creative we are. But when you start running a business, you realize your number one priority is processes. And people take it for granted. Again, I see people talking ill of big organizations. And I'm like, you guys need to understand how good you have it in an organization where people have spent years putting processes together. Because if you don't put those processes in place, you will be a slave to your business forever and your business will never grow. And I think the person who put it best for me is because I do have a business partner who is a businessman.
Okay.
And he said, look, you win pitches with fire creative, but you will not grow the business with fire creative.
No.
You will grow the business when you have processes. And he explained, look, think of America and the adage that America as a country will run in spite of who's in the Oval Office. So you need a business that can run in your absence. You have processes in place whereby if you had, and I think, in advertising, how we always talk about the communication needs to be idiot-proof. The dumbest person in the world should understand what you're trying to say. It's the same thing with your processes. If you happen to have hired someone, and it can happen, you will hire some really lackluster individuals along the way. And you hire someone who's exceptionally unintelligent. They should be able to walk into your organization and figure out how things are done because the process is seamless and is well embedded in your culture. So I'm here thinking, you know what? Let me do what I'm great at, which is campaigns. But I've spent the last 3 years putting processes in.
Yeah. And you're right. And I am sitting here and I am proud.
Thank you.
No, but I'll tell you why. Mm-hmm. It's great to hear creatives think the way you're thinking. But that comes through experience.
Yes.
It comes through the humility you talked about.
Yes.
It comes through sitting with yourself and having that board meeting with yourself and
Yes.
saying,
Yeah.
I can't keep doing things this way. I need to do things differently.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So, if a creative wanted to break out, what would be 2 things they need to prepare before they made that decision?
So, things they need to prepare. One of the things that helped me, and it wasn't that I put that in place for setting up a business, but actually I initially started it because I was going to get married, which was a savings culture. So prior to, well, my wedding, at least for me at the time, was quite pricey.
Still is.
It still is, yeah. Weddings is still quite pricey. So I figured out, I asked my in-laws for a year. After we did the traditional wedding, I'm like, give me a year to figure out how to pay for this thing. And I figured out I'm going to slash my expenditure by half.
Okay.
And half of my money by default was going into the savings account. And when the wedding ended, that behavior,
Didn't stop.
it didn't stop. And the nature of, and I don't know, I feel I've been blessed that I've had great experiences over life that I've not ever felt, FOMO is not something that really bothers me. The need to be flashy doesn't really bother me. If you look at my wardrobe now, I do have clothes for, we're going for an event, and I'll dress to the nines. But my daily stuff is tracks, t-shirts, which I buy online, that's it. And I don't change my lifestyle significantly.
Did you creatives go for a meeting and decide we would just wear black and...
I don't know whether the whole black, I think
Because
it just became...
my head of creative solutions also only wears black.
Only black. I don't know what it is. Somehow we woke up one day and said, that's it. Everyone's going to be in black.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so what happened is over time, of course, I kept getting promoted. I kept getting new offers. So the money kept increasing. The lifestyle didn't.
Got it.
So by the time I was setting up the business, I had significant savings, like for more than a year. I know a lot of people say plan for 6 months and that's it. But in the 6 months, they plan for themselves. So they say, my lifestyle costs me X amount of money, so let me save enough for the 6 months. What you forget is, that works if you're going to become a permalancer, be permanent freelance, because in the freelance world, what happens is you get paid 50% upfront.
Yes.
So there's actually very little cost to business.
Yes.
And it's your laptop and it's your desk at your home. So you convert one of your rooms at home to working place, or you go to a coffee house, whatever it is. If you want to grow a big business and chase big clients, there's no big client. If you're going to chase hundreds of thousands of dollars, they don't pay you in advance unless you're in production.
Yes.
They're not going to pay you in advance. So they'll expect you to do the job. And when the job is done in a satisfactory nature, they'll say, cool, we'll pay you now in 90 days. You see? So you started the job. The people you're working with, you have to pay sometimes the 50% up front. But once the job's done, let's say it takes you a month and you're hoping it was a month, but then it takes
We
2
know
to
it
3.
doesn't take a month.
Exactly. So it maybe even take 6 months. So for 6 months, you've been bleeding this money. And finally, they're like, great, we love it.
90 days.
90 days. They're not going to say, oh, cool, come get your cash tomorrow or we'll wire it to you tomorrow. Because now you're done with the marketing team. Then you have to deal with the procurement/finance team. And then they're like, cool, send the invoice, send this paperwork. And then they're like, great, there you go. And that's 90 days if you're lucky in our industry. Sometimes it can go, I have a client who paid after 17 months.
I know.
You see, so if you do not have the money to finance your projects, you will actually be in a situation where, let's say you bill $120,000, the actual cost is $80,000.
Yes.
If you don't have that $80,000, you find yourself in a position where you have to say, I can't take on this business. And once you turn down 1 or 2 because of financial reasons, they're like, nah, you're not serious. So you need money, not just for your upkeep, for the business. Yeah.
And I assume that is one of the reasons why people break out and within 6 months they're back in the saddle.
Yeah.
Because then they realize this is war out here.
Exactly. So there's that. So one, make sure you have enough money. The things to prepare for, again, if you're creative, one of the things we ignore is financial education.
Okay.
And look, it's not necessarily something that you have to go to school for. but you have to understand, well, financial and human resource education as well. Two basic things that you need to learn, and this information is available online.
Yeah.
Taxes, the basic taxes that you're going to have to deal with. What are the tax regimes? Filing your taxes, what are the taxes you have to look for? Understand taxes. Because once you're making money, the government is going to want their money.
They'll find you.
They will find you. I received a call from the Kenya Revenue Authority. I was in Kampala. I was on my way with my mom to a certain place to discuss a land dispute. And I'm chilling, it's December 20 something. And I get a call from a number I don't know. But see, back in the day, if I don't know the number, I don't answer. Now I'm a business owner.
You're a business owner.
Exactly. This might be a new lead. So I answer, and this guy says, "Hi, my name is Kevin." I'm like, "Cool. I know a bunch of Kevins. Which Kevin? I'm calling you from the Kenya Revenue Authority." I'm like, "Yeah. There's an invoice that you billed. I think I don't know when, and the VAT was supposed to have been paid this morning."
Oh, I was thinking.
The deadline was this morning.
That's on top of it.
Yeah. So there's a 20th of the month deadline. And I'm like, yeah, but I have an accountant for that. They're like, no, on the records, we don't know your accountant. It's your name on the document. So that means for this, and I'm thinking to myself, it's not that I'm a tiny business, but I'm not a monolith. I'm not a Safaricom. I'm not paying tens of $millions in taxes. But
Why does it matter so much?
The government will find if you owe the government money. So you need to be sure about it because there's repercussions. Yeah. You could have your accounts frozen. You could have your tax number suspended, which means you cannot receive payments. So if you don't understand taxes, one, you're going to lose money because you get X amount of money, but you've forgotten how much you have to pay in tax. Yeah. You haven't billed for it. You haven't planned for it. So invest probably in a good tax consultant or an accountant who understands taxes. If you're doing a multi-country business, then you need someone who understands the tax regimes when you're sending money across. And the other thing would be the HR element, which is a lot of your contracts are going to be with people. And whether you like to believe it or not, if you get to a point whereby you feel someone's no longer meant to be part of your organization, there are people who will try and use that to their advantage. And if you don't have your contracts right, they can sue you for wrongful dismissal. Someone who's come and not worked for 6 months.
But still,
will say, you wrongfully dismissed me. But then again, it comes down to loopholes. Did you go through the contracts? If they find a loophole, they'll take you to labor court. Yeah. And the fact is, in many countries in Africa, I know a lot of people say governments don't do much for them. But then, like if you look at Kenya and a lot of other countries, the government will protect laborers. Yes. So if you don't have your contracts, and even with clients, because you will find yourself in a position where you might have to terminate contracts with certain clients. Yeah. And if you didn't have a lawyer or have enough understanding of the law when writing those contracts, you find yourself in significant trouble. So have savings or have decent money, not just for yourself, but for the business. Understand money, taxes, understand the law and human resources.
I appreciate the things you're talking about, and I'll tell you why. Mm-hmm. The assumption is that you're a great creative, so that you can understand the things you don't know before you step into these muddy waters. Yeah.
And we do have, to be honest, a lot of creatives who get to a point where they're really good or senior. We will have a level of arrogance. Yeah. I do recall actually my mother telling me, understand the business. I'm like, what do you mean?
I got this.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm the guy they call when there's a problem, but they call me when there's a creative problem.
Not when there's a business
problem. When there's a business problem, I don't get called. No one's saying, hey, come, let's look at the ledgers. Come, let's look at the finances. No. No one's calling me when there's an HR crisis. Yeah. And then you forget these other parts of the business. Because if you're in advertising and you're creative, you're like, we're the stars of the show. But there's a lot of other stars in the back making things happen. One thing I appreciated, not when I started my own business, but when I left advertising to join another company, was admin. And I traveled. And this company was significantly wealthier than the agency I was working in. However, I was traveling to Ghana, actually, for a meeting, which was to plan for a shoot. And I get there on a Sunday. I've taken the morning flight. It's now the afternoon. Hotel bookings not organized. They're telling me wait till tomorrow. I'm like, hold on. I need a hotel room. I've come with a team of 4, etc. And I found things to be rather disorganized. And it took me a step back because I remember at the agency I was working in, if I need to go somewhere, pick up a phone, there's someone on the other end. I say, I need to be in this country from this day to that day. And things work. Someone is going to send me an email. I will receive an email saying, select your flight options. I will receive an email saying, if I need a visa for that country, I will receive an email saying, you have a visa appointment.
Go here.
Go here on this day. The driver will pick you up. Make sure you come with the following.
XYZ.
And it's usually just come with your passport. Why? Someone's going to print it out, everything
And
else.
fill the form out
fill
for
the
you.
forms.
Yes.
I do remember having to get involved in the process for my work permit at this new organization. And I said, hold on. I've worked somewhere else for 8 years straight. I don't even know the work permit process. Yeah. Because I get told, all you have to do is now go and get your card, the alien card. And not even get it, just do biometrics. 2-3 days later, a few weeks later, it's on my desk.
Yeah.
So it's things like that. That means there's an administration team in the background going through this.
An engine.
An engine just doing all these elaborate things. And it's simple things like people need to show up for meetings on time. And their transportation needs to be well planned. So when you start running a business, you're like, oh, wow, administration is integral. Human resources, there's work they're actually doing. Finance, they're working magic and so on. So it's that respect for what other people do that you get when you start running a business. Yeah.
Question before we go into the next section.
Yes.
The decision to break out.
Yes.
Was it born out of a brainstorm, those happy moments, or was it born out of a breakdown, like, I ain't doing this anymore?
So it's it's something you mull over for a period of time.
Okay.
Even when I was a senior writer, I'm like, why don't I just start my own business? And then you become more senior, you're now a creative director. You're like, one point it's the financial frustration, but then you don't do it. And then over a couple of years, it's something in the back of your mind. You even have the name for your agency. You've even thought through the office space. And then in my case, there was a
Canva logo.
No, I don't use Canva.
You didn't. You had somebody do it properly.
Yes, there's a proper logo. No, actually, no. The logo we have, by the way, was born out of necessity. We had 15 minutes to submit something official.
Okay.
And so one of my art guys just put something together quickly, and now it's stuck. It's stuck. So we didn't go through the
elaborating of, yeah.
Yeah, but in my case, there's something that was said to me in a one-on-one meeting. I said, you know what? I don't think these people understand the vision, in my opinion, the vision that I have. It came down to respect, I think. Because when you put in so much work to build a body of work and become an expert in a certain field, and then you feel disrespected in that field, you're like, you know what? Maybe it's time. And there's a very interesting philosophy I have.
Okay.
Because the thing that was said came out of the blue. There are places you go to and you just don't gel with certain people, right? And it doesn't work. And that's fine. But I strongly believe that if you are in a situation that is comfortable, that is peaceful, and suddenly it becomes untenable.
Yeah.
And suddenly someone who you've had no issues with is mean and is consistent and it's shown up out of nowhere. Not that the person changed, not that the way you were performing changed, not that something in the company changed. Suddenly a person you worked with, well, a boss, a colleague, has gone full, total, flip 360 to become a pain.
Gone ninja on you.
Gone ninja on you. That's the universe saying, you're wasting time.
It's time.
Go. Because it's the universe, it's like boiling water, right?
Yeah.
At the right temperature, it's going to boil over. So you're ready.
Yeah.
You have to now move. You have to get off this fire and move to another stove. You see? So it's that. So I just got the sense, this doesn't make sense. I've had an amazing couple of years here, and out of the blue, the situation's become untenable. I was like, yeah, that's the universe saying, you have to move on to the next chapter.
So I guess my answer will be born out of both a brainstorm and a breakdown because you've been thinking about it.
Yes, yes.
But then there was finally this tipping point that says, you know
Exactly.
what, this is the time.
And I think the universe hears your thoughts and
Yes.
sees you sitting down, putting the plans, and then they're waiting. They're like, when are you going to start? And maybe you're not ready before, but then you're ready now, and you're not making the move. The universe is like, you know what?
It's a.
We're about to make this place you're
We'll
in.
make the decision
We'll
for
make the
you.
decision for you. We'll make this impossible.
Let me give you an example. It's like you're in a relationship.
Yes.
And the relationship is not healthy. I always say God will not give you rest in an unhealthy relationship.
That's true. That's true.
So you constantly feel so uncomfortable until you realize, you know what?
Yes.
This is not for you.
It's not for me. And it'll be something drastic. I did in my long time ago, before I got married, I did have this beautiful girlfriend who we used to have a lot of fun together, but she was quite volatile. And then in the volatility was manageable. You know, she'd get upset about stuff. She had a quick temper. And then there's a time she attempted to actually kill me. And I'm like, hold on. What actually happened was, not that she even tried to kill me. There's a point in time she came to my place and I found myself in my kitchen collecting all like anything sharp.
Yeah, so you're
And
like,
hiding. Then I'm like, hold on.
what am I doing
What
here?
am I doing here? I'm like, you know, I
Yeah.
told her, look, this can't work.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, yeah,
Yeah.
it becomes one of those where you're like, the situation just can't work. And then interestingly, when you make that transition, the right thing comes into place.
True.
Because suddenly I make that transition of stop this relationship, and shortly after that, now I'm starting to talk to the person who's my wife right now. And then that becomes a relationship I'm supposed to be in.
Do you remember how I described her when we talked first?
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yes.
So you've got you've got
I'm
beautiful.
on a good streak. My wife's an exceptionally beautiful
She
woman.
is.
So yeah.
She
So
is.
if I'd stuck into a relationship, maybe even 6 months more, maybe my wife right now ends up in a completely different relationship situation, and we don't end up together. But that had to happen. My girlfriend at the time had to become that situation had to become untenable for me to now open up to become
For new things.
For new things, yes. Yeah.
We'll go into the next bit of this,
Yes.
which is shifts in the wider creative industry. And I want to talk about that because in your introduction, you talked about music production and all sorts of nice, bright, shiny things.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of the time when we agency folk talk, we narrow it down to creativity within the creative industry, within the agency world, right?
Yes.
It would be good to kind of just get a sense from you about what are the biggest shifts happening from your perspective and just your opinion and yours alone happening in just the creative world that's influencing different parts of creativity.
Okay. I think the same thing I mentioned earlier about tech. Tech has democratized a lot in the creative world. One, learning is readily available.
Okay.
If you don't, like right now, I can, over the weekend, learn something that I'd probably have to pay for.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to have paid for in the past. But then in terms of democratization, when you look at music, for example, there's platforms that mean somebody recording their music at home can suddenly put their work up on a streaming platform and make it. There's a lot of other things involved, but that option is there. Somebody with a mobile device of any kind can become a filmmaker, or as they call themselves, content creators. Yeah. And then because of social as well, people can grow their own channels and get exposed. Because before you would hope that maybe you're interviewed by a TV station so people can see your work. You hope you're interviewed by a newspaper so you can reach the masses.
But here we are.
Here we are, right now. This is your channel, you see. This conversation would have had to happen in a studio somewhere, and then there would have been the gatekeeper. So I think one key thing is the lower level gatekeepers are now out of the way.
Okay.
Now, why I say lower level gatekeepers, at the top premium level, where there is significant chunks of money, etc., gatekeepers still exist.
Yes.
And these are people who are OGs in the game, the veterans of the game who have access to the people with the big bucks. Because the people with the big bucks are not interested in making up a decision about an industry. If I'm an investor and I have my money, I'm not coming to make a decision about, let me sit and go through 100 different options. I'm going to go to the guy or the lady who's the guru in that industry and ask them, who should I invest my money in? And then, of course, someone in the background will crunch the numbers, but it's that. So the higher level gatekeepers still exist, but these lower level gatekeepers, they're out of the way now.
No.
And anyone who's pretending to be a lower level gatekeeper is just lying to people. So technology has significantly democratized opportunities. Again, the whole element of human stories and truth, because these days you lie, you will be fact checked, especially with younger audiences. What you're going to go and tell people has to be legit, has to be something they can relate with. So you have to spend that much time, not just looking at craft, but how honest is this narrative that I'm bringing forward? So human truth is relevant. So you have to understand people. So technology has democratized, but then because of people having options now, they want stuff that's more relevant and true to their own story. So you have to spend the time understanding the people you're creating for. Yeah.
As you were talking, the thought that came to my mind was around the gatekeepers you talk about.
Yeah.
And these gatekeepers, as you call them, the lower level gatekeepers, because they are no longer as powerful and influential as they used to be.
Yes.
I also connected to your thoughts around how all these young people want speed.
Yes. Yeah.
So, because there's access, there's democratization of that access, but also the tools that you need for growth.
Yeah.
Do you see any collision points in wanting that speed for young people? Is there merit in, even if it's not going through the mill for 10 years like you did, doing a shorter version of it, but in 3 years? Is there merit in that?
To be honest, that's a good question I actually haven't thought about, because we see the accelerated rate of growth, but I think it will need another couple of years to figure out the impact of that.
Okay.
Because right now what it means is there's a lot more options. There's a lot more youngsters showing up with interesting ideas and craft. Thing is, what happens when they get into leadership?
Yeah.
That's the one bit we haven't yet. And it's not too, we're not too far off, next 4 or 5 years. Because that slow grind helps you appreciate certain things. And also what they lack. I do remember with the same mindset a lot of these young people have. When I left uni, I told myself, I'm going to go out on my own.
Yeah.
Because when you see all the successful people in the world, they own something. So I said, I will go out on my own. And I remember I met an artist called Noah Nyanzi in Kampala. And I'd gone to meet him with a cousin of mine who was into art. And he started asking me questions. And I told him, this is what I studied, this is what I want to do. And then he asked me a question I wasn't ready for. He said, so do you see your company growing? Remember, I haven't started a company. I said, yeah. I said, okay, if you start, how many people will you have in the next 5+ years? And I was being ambitious. I said, maybe 200. Yeah. I was young. I was fresh out of uni. I said, maybe 200. So he's like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's great. So you'd want to have a company in the next 5 years where you have 200 people working for you. I said, yes. And you'll be leading them. I said, yes. But you're not going to work for anyone else. I said, no. Then he asked me, how are you going to know how to lead people if you've never been led yourself? And I was like, okay, makes sense. And now that I'm older, it makes sense, because people complain a lot about their bosses. And sometimes people have bad bosses.
Yeah.
And I tell people, you learn from your bosses 2 things, what to do and what not to do. And I've had bosses who have observed and said, I must definitely do that. And I've had bosses who have observed and said, I must never do that.
And we've shared some of the bosses.
Yes, we shared some bosses. And some you're like, yes, this is amazing. And some you're like, no. Or you pick some elements, because even
the good bosses have their downsides.
And even the ones who have the bad bosses
have their
some
strengths.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so we are going to get in the next 5 to 7 years in a position whereby people who've never been led are going to find themselves in a position where they're going to have to lead. And I'm just curious to see what that's going to look like. Because I don't know. I don't have the answer to
We
that
don't
question.
have the answer.
Yeah. But yeah.
We can make some assumptions and we can project what we think.
Yeah.
But maybe Silicon Valley also has something to teach us.
True.
Because there are a lot of people whose growth has been microwaved in Silicon Valley.
Yes.
I mean, I remember, walking into an agency and saying, I want to run this agency. And the previous MD was 32. And I was thinking, God, how such a young person running this agency? Surely I should be able to do this, right? And so maybe if we dig a little deeper, we might find a few to look at and kind of have a viewpoint. But you do make a point that there are lots of young people who are doing amazing things but have actually never led. And so it'll be interesting to see how they...
Exactly, because the fact is, again, when you get to a point when you want to do big things, you can't do it solo.
No, you can't.
So you can be a great makeup artist making tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands on individual projects. But now the next level you'd want to get to is whereby money is being made in your absence.
Yeah.
And if you want to get there, then you have to get people, make sure they're at the level that your consumers or your customers are currently happy with, and then start building these processes. Because again, it's not like, oh, you get to that point and then I'll just hire someone to do that. You have to build it with that person so you understand the entire ecosystem. So I'm curious to see what will happen when people who want exceptional fluidity in their process now need a bit of rigidity in their own enterprises. So I'm curious to see how that will pan out.
Different creative industries.
Yes.
Design.
Yes.
Fashion.
Yes.
Music. Art. Are we creating more opportunities for collaboration in these industries?
Yes.
And what does that look like for you? And I ask this because sometimes we are perceived as very siloed. But there's a lot of growth and creativity that can be birthed from that collaboration.
Yes.
What are the opportunities that are coming up?
Collaboration is inevitable. I think if you don't collaborate, you die. You will die.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what it is. It goes back to what you said. I think of all the creative industries, we're the only ones that actually own the word creative. A musician is creative, but they don't say, I'm a creative. Us, we walk in, what do you do? I'm a creative. So we've taken ownership of. And I remember having this conversation with a couple of fellow advertising creatives, and I said, look, we claim we own the role or the term creative. But think about it, when you look at Kenya, right? Music, you have people like Bien and so on who are working on Grammy projects, right? When you look at art, you have people like Joy Rishu working on Coca-Cola projects. And you see in all these different creative industries, there are people, when you look at film, you have people who are winning Oscars. And I'm like, yo, guys, what are we leading in as supposed creatives? We can't own the term, yet we are not aiming to achieve at the level that the other industries are. So one, we have to start working with those industries. Even in our process right now, when you talk about people in music, people in fashion, the old day would have been, here's a brief, let's get people in advertising because we know how to be creative. I'm like, hold on, but like one of the people we work with is a gentleman called Vic West. Vic West is a music producer at Black Market Records. Well, I know he signed a deal with another record label recently, I think. But he's produced hits. Kuna Kuna, big hit. Kudade, big hit. So if there's someone who understands what the young consumer wants, it's Vic West.
Yeah.
So I know Vic West has no advertising background, but I'm calling Vic West and I brought him in and I said, yo, Vic, there's a brief. Let's exchange some ideas. And there's a host of other people. So when I even spoke about the different creative enterprises that I'm getting involved in, I'm not just buying into other ad agencies. I need the record labels. Why? Because the record labels have the artists.
Because music is a big part
It's
of creativity.
powerful.
It's powerful.
And they do the same thing. They create from scratch. They have to think through sounds and stories. They are storytellers. Filmmakers are storytellers. There's a narrative they have to put out there. And then they also understand craft. These other industries also truly, purely understand craft. There's someone who's going to sit and mix a sound and listen for that which we cannot hear because they want us to have a perfect output. There's someone in film who's going to sit cutting, editing, this, that, the other, thinking about lighting. The people who are shooting right now, they're spending so much time lighting, this, that, let's think angles, So we need to understand the discipline of craft from all these different enterprises. And we also need to understand the the ability to interpret what people want now.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone else can understand trends like music guys.
You're so right. And they're having to do it on the beat.
Exactly. On the beat, they're like, listen. And like I had a very interesting conversation with some guys in music. And they're like, don't get deceived by the 10, 20 hits that have millions of views.
They say
There's another 200. And I said, I can show you this one here, 200 views. I love this track.
But nobody else loves it.
Nobody does. And that
Yes.
for me also taught me, the one thing I've noticed about the music industry is these guys are talking about, I'm not embarrassed to put out something that I believe in, even if it fails.
Yeah.
I'll figure that out again. We want to put out a perfect product in advertising. It has to be just right. Let's take 3 months. Let's take 6 months. These guys are like, yeah, let's put it out. Let's see what the culture says.
Yeah.
Oh, it didn't work. Let's learn from that. Let's try another one. So the ability to be quick and pivot, those are things we have to learn from those industries. And we only do that when we get out of our... Because think about it. Like, again, okay, musicians are cool. Fine. But when you're talking about people who are cool in the creative world, advertisers are quite cool. Because we're hanging out with the big CEOs in our T-shirts and jeans when everyone else...
Looking cool.
Looking cool. We're at the golf club in T-shirts and jeans at this event and everyone's coming in suit and tie. But we're there. And we have to be there because, hey, who's going to get you your content? Who's going to work on the content? It's us. And we're thinking, oh man, we're super cool. And the events we attend and the people we hang out with, it's the most beautiful people and the most fun people. And we're in the studio recording.
And influential people.
Influential people. Because the musicians, people need to find, people need to figure out how to interact with them and maybe attend a concert. No, I need to book the musician for a jingle recording. And now we're in the studio together and I'm giving them feedback, you see. Yeah. Same thing with a great actor. I have a great actor on set, all beautiful models and all of this. So we think we're cool. But the fact is, we have to get out of we are the coolest creators to understand that we have a lot of learning to do. So let's go hang out with the musicians. Let's find them at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. when they're recording. Let's hang out with the people who are doing fashion, when they're cutting and drawing and all this and understand their process. Let's not go in with, oh, this is how we do things. Yes. Let's go in and ask you, how did you do that? What works? etc. Yeah. And
it's at that intersection of collaboration between the different pulse points of creativity that magic happens,
yes.
I think.
Yes.
Because think about it, a great ad will have great detail in fashion.
Yes.
It will have the right soundtrack.
Yes.
It would have art. It will have color.
Yes.
You know, it will have all of these elements, right? Mm-hmm. So why are we not working together more and learning from each other?
Because think about it. I have 20 plus years experience. I know the right music for a piece of film.
Yeah.
But I'd like to believe the music producer who's made hits, when watching this film, would be like, no, try this instead. So it doesn't matter that I have 20 years doing all these different things. This person knows better. You talked about art, the aesthetic, what the wardrobe is going to look. Let the wardrobe expert advise on what the wardrobe should look like. Let the illustrator, the artist advise on what the packaging or the background aesthetic should be. You know, let's not sit there and think we know everything and we're the coolest and we're the guys in the boardrooms in sneakers when everyone else is in Oxfords and we think, we're it. No, we're not. And yes, we're cool, but there's other people we can learn from to create even greater things. Yeah.
Okay. Coming a bit back into the detail of your journey.
Yes.
Did you have a 5-year plan?
No. No. I didn't have a 5-year plan.
But you had at least a 6-month plan.
Actually...
You didn't have one. Please tell me you had one.
I didn't actually have a 5-year plan or even a 6-month plan.
Okay.
I'm like, look, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to figure it out. And I attribute this to a lot of my creative leaders.
Okay.
My ability or my ability to quickly rise in the ranks came from leaders who threw me in the deep end.
Okay.
So I've never had the thing of, hi, Emran, here's your 5-year career growth plan. It's like, hey, Emran, there's this one client who's exceptionally difficult, and guess what? You're in charge now.
Okay.
Or what would you like me to do? Just don't lose the client. How do I do that? Well, if you lose the client...
that one. Lose the client.
Just don't lose the client.
Yes.
And suddenly you're in there and you're figuring things out. And how do you figure things out? You make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And then your mission then becomes to make less mistakes. And that is it. And also what happens when you're making less mistakes or figuring out how to make less mistakes, processes.
Yeah.
You're like, last time I didn't do this, so I need to make sure this is done. Or last time I did this, I need to make sure that's not done. So in figuring out your way, you figure out the processes and you figure out the things that you need to do, and you keep getting better. Because also what happens is when you're making mistakes and you're in the deep end, it becomes exceptionally, because I come from a time when the feedback was as brutal as it could be. Now it's not. Now we have to tiptoe around people's emotions.
Let me tell you, the most traumatized people in this world are advertising people.
Yeah.
Because every day we show up with work that we've done with heart and soul and mind.
Yes.
And we get told no.
No. And the no is not always a nice no.
And it's not even a no with a reason. It's just sometimes nah.
Yeah.
So just being able to receive that day in, day out.
And then keep coming back.
And keep coming back.
And so there's that clip that does the rounds. I think it's Jacob Zuma who says, every time I come here, I'm abused. I don't know if he'd gone to Parliament. And it's a common meme. And that for me reminded me of being a young copywriter. And I do remember one situation vividly. I think I was on script 36.
Yeah.
So that means three versions. This was round number 12. And this was for big telco. Again, imagine, this is my second agency. Yeah. I've started off as a trainee. Now I'm, copywriter. And they're like, you're the lead writer on this telco that's trying to climb from 5th to number 1. And I remember I show my CD the work and it says, you know what, you just go. And I get on the board and I go and I sit in front of the client. And she's ex-agency and
They are the worst, I'm sorry. God forgive me for saying that.
It is true, because they're mean.
They're mean.
And
it's almost like the abuser now being the abused.
Exactly. They actually are that. And she looks at the scripts. She's like, you don't have to present them. I'll read, because she started off as a writer. And she looks through these 3 scripts. And then she looks at me and she's like, who wrote this? I'm like, oh, okay, I think she likes them. I'm like, I did. And at that point in time, the office messenger who used to deliver like invoices and stuff happened to have also walked in to deliver something to finance. Like, this whole time I was here thinking it was Nicholas. He was called Nicholas. And he walks by, so she's like saying basically this is basically, what I thought this feels like is at the level like your office messenger would do. I'm like, oh, okay. And remember, this is my 12th attempt. And she then calls, she had the desk phone, she calls my CD, who's back at the office, who's one of my most senior mentors to date. And she goes like, look, I'm tired. I don't know what to do. What's going on? Because this guy tells me he's written these scripts. I don't know if it was I don't know if you guys are taking it seriously. But I'm coming to the conclusion that probably this boy is just stupid. And the thing my CD said is what I found I found it funny at the point in time. I don't know, and I guess I deal with some situations like that. He goes, yeah, come on now. You understand, sometimes we hire stupid people. And I'm like, what? He didn't even back me up. Mm-hmm. He said, yeah, you're stupid. And he was that guy. He would come and tell you that was stupid, and then later tell you this is what you need to do to become a rock star. I feel these days you can't do that with a lot of young talent. You tell someone they're stupid, that's it. They'll resign. If you're in a big organization, they'll escalate and say, hey, so-and-so called me stupid. But I'm like, I've been in situations where there's an agency where it was an open plan agency. And the CD, I think I sent scripts, and there were 2 typos in the scripts. And it was all going into this pitch deck. And the CD stands up and quiets the whole office. Says, listen, if this business closes down, if you all lose your jobs and cannot feed your families, it's that guy. Because of 2 typos.
What kind of load is that?
I'm like, yo, because of 2 typos. It's like, this is the guy who's going to shut us down. But that was then. And I know there's people today who criticize.
Was there merit in that? And what was the merit in that? And what were the drawbacks in that? Because I most certainly know that there was a refining in that.
Yeah.
And a certain strength of mind and rigor that potentially built.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's also, you can't have people's self-esteem for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So what's the balance? What's
my opinion
middle is?
So I don't think there should be a middle. Now, I do understand in today's era, you cannot do that.
Yes.
Because either you'll be escalated or someone will put you on social, say, this is an abusive boss, but it's this. And I think I saw Gen Z comment something on social where someone was saying the same things I was saying, and saying, oh, it's odd how millennials glamorize abuse. The fact is the world doesn't care about your feelings. That's the honest truth. Sure. If you don't have money, you don't have money. You're not going to get fed. The world is brutal. The world is unkind. People will come and steal from you.
Even your friends.
Your own friends will steal from you. People, like bad things happen to good people. That's the nature of the world. So I feel, and why that same gentleman is someone I refer to today. I call him and I ask him for advice, is he's honest. And he tells you as it is, because the world as it is unkind. People try and take out of your pocket. You will feed the same. I told someone, by the time there's a phrase, don't bite the hand that feeds you.
You know that the hand that feeds you has been
bitten multiple times. And it's that. I've seen people bring people from nothing, give them jobs, raise them to certain levels, and then it's the same people either stealing from them or trying to bring a company down. And that's the nature of the world. You will be a good person, the world doesn't care. Yeah. You will there's people who get mugged going home. Yeah. And someone decides they're going to bludgeon someone. That's the nature of the world. So we currently live in an era whereby we want to bubble wrap everyone and everyone's emotions. I do not think I would be where I am right now if I didn't have leaders who are like that, who are honestly, brutally honest. People call it unkind or abusive. No, I didn't see it that way. Now, of course, in today's era, I can't do that because...
But you could still share feedback and be brutally honest without being unkind.
So the thing is this, I think you can. Are you going to get the same traction? Think about it. Because a slap on the wrist and a whack on the bum are very different.
I agree with you. I do agree with you. But I have learned to say things as it is. And I do. But I say it, and the goal is to say it with kindness.
Okay.
But the impact of the message is not unclear. I guess maybe the thinking is, how do we teach leaders how to say things clearly without and being direct? Because maybe the issue is the pussyfooting around something, right? So I'll give you an example. We've had a few situations where we know a client is putting up a piece of business for pitch.
Yes.
And someone on the team has a responsibility that's not being met. My thing is, you know what? We'll deal with your inadequacies later. I want you to know that there are inadequacies, things you haven't done, but we'll deal with it. Right now, the goal is to fix this.
Okay.
And as you say it, you see the life draining out of the person's face. But maybe it's not, it's in the fact that we are riding and dying together to fix this. But once we are done with it, we will visit the conversation of how we don't get there again. So maybe it's not tearing the person down. It's in the action of showing them that we will fix this together.
Yeah.
But maybe you learn the lesson of, don't put us in this situation again. It's just a thought for you.
I think it varies. And I think, because I've had the privilege of working with you, and I know a lot of the people who work for you, you garner their respect. They have a lot of respect for you. So that form of criticism for them is an element. What drives them is the disappointment.
Okay.
That, I've disappointed someone who I hold in high esteem.
Got it.
And that works when, not everyone can be a leader like you are, whereby you have everyone rallying behind you with a lot of, they hold you in high esteem.
Okay.
The fact is, there's people who, if they don't have that level of respect for you, you can tell them at 110 times, they won't care.
Got it.
The disappointment element is a strong driver. What drove me, however, was the constant reminder of, you're not dope.
You're not good enough yet.
You're not good enough. You ain't shit. And I'm like, I'm tired of not being that guy. I'm tired of being that guy. I'm tired of not doing dope stuff. So I kept being driven to figure out. So I was actually, and it might sound like a wrong thing.
But you do dope stuff. So when did you start doing dope stuff? Tell me.
About 3-4 years after getting tired of, I'm tired of.
Okay.
And you see, the dope stuff comes from, again, process of how I do things.
Okay.
because there were things I was not doing that was resulting in work that was not up to par.
Got it.
And the one time I did something and everyone was like, this is fire. What my mentor then said is, this now becomes your bottom tier.
Yeah.
And so the reason there's been consistent progression is anything that I achieve that gets applause, I'm like, now this is my bottom tier and so on.
Yeah.
So I still get driven by an element of fear of, I do not want to do something subpar. Whereas, and I'll tell you what happens when you do it either way. So I feel that way of criticism, that constant reminder, pushed me to deliver. And it did for a lot of creators.
Okay.
There's the other way you're talking about, but one has to be a seasoned leader like yourself to deliver that. If you're a senior copywriter trying to get a junior copywriter to do some stuff, and then
It might not work that way.
they might not even rate you.
Got
They're
it.
like, okay, I don't care if you're disappointed. Either way, I think I'm better than you. I was a junior copywriter thinking I'm better than my creative director.
Which is how let me tell you a story. When I first walked into my first advertising job,
Yeah.
I had a client service director who probably had 15 years over me.
Yeah.
And I thought I could do her job.
Yeah.
So we all feel that way at
Yes.
some points in time.
And it's that. So then it didn't matter what this. And he was a really great guy, a gentleman called Gustav Lamerting. And he would give me feedback. I'm like, what is he saying?
Yeah.
I know better. I'm the writer in this situation. It didn't also help he was an art guy. I'm like, what do you know about writing? Remember, I have, 2-3 years experience. He has 10 plus. And it only came after 8 different times where he told me to do something. I didn't do it. And I'd go into the meeting and the feedback was exactly
what he says.
Yes.
And then you realize experience counts for
Yes,
something.
and I'm like, I need to start respecting Gustav. I need to respect his opinion. And I realized the folly of my presuming that I knew better than he did.
Yeah.
Because experience teaches you things that skill can't. So, yeah.
So, we could talk for a long time, but
Yeah.
we're going to start wrapping this up.
Yeah.
So, did you ever have these moments where you say, what have I done?
Yeah, the moments, yes. There was one moment where there was a mess up, which made no sense because I had an elite team working on it. So it's that. No, actually, I'll tell you what it is. I know when that moment was. I was in Lagos working on a project and I was fatigued. It had been going on for a couple of weeks. And about 7 a.m., I got a call from a CEO of a top 3, let me say top 5 company
Okay.
in East Africa. And he says, hi. I don't recognize the number, right?
Okay.
He says, hi, is this Emron Alema? I'm like, yes. My name is Name, which I
Name.
won't mention.
Yeah.
I am the MD of
Name.
which I'll not mention. So I'm thinking, whoa, the MD is calling me. This is big. This is one of those mama, we made it moments. But there's something that I'd left my team working on that they botched up significantly. And it was something small. But sometimes the small things are attached to something.
person.
A big person. And the thing he says to me immediately is like, I have been informed that you as an agency are dishonest. And I'm like, what? This is me thinking,
Opportunity.
finally, I'll get a call. And that's the first thing I hear. And it turns out, basically, what he'd been told is the error came because the team hadn't informed the marketing team about something. And it was that. And I sat there going for another meeting, trying to impress a client, exceptionally fatigued. And now here I'm getting this negative feedback. And I'm like,
So the energy is down.
energy is down and I'm confused. And I'm like, have I bitten off too much? More than I can chew, etc. But then, now it's something we figured out. I have a good relationship with that CEO now. Gave me props for something else we did for them. So, yeah. But in that moment, that was a major down moment. But there's never been a moment where I'm like, I'm out of my depth, because I believe, just like because of leaders who threw me in the deep end and didn't make it necessarily easy or tiptoe, bubble wrap, that whatever situation you're in, number one, you're meant to be there. However big the room is, you're meant to be there. So imposter syndrome is not a thing I carry with me.
Yeah.
I did at a certain point in time. I don't have that. But number two, it's whatever the situation, figure it out. No one's coming to save you.
No.
One's coming. So yeah,
Jesus has done that already
he
for us.
did his part.
Yes.
And he left. And we're waiting for him to come back
Yes.
when we've wrapped up. But at the end of the day, whatever situation is, man, just figure it out.
Got it.
Don't waste time whining about it. Solve it, and then we'll discuss it later, which then usually means problems just get solved. And you don't have time to discuss it because the problem no longer exists. So yeah.
One of the things that I tell a lot of young creatives who break away is you no longer have the infrastructure around you that you used to have.
Yes.
How do you get creatives to be more organized? And I say this because, and this is a very small detail, but I find lots of creatives to be, because they've had that infrastructure of a client service person, a production team, and all of that, just even organizing their days. And this is very small. If you have one trick to just keeping organized, keeping everything for yourself personally, not in the system or in the process, what would that trick be?
I don't think there's a trick. You have to...
Or a cheat code or whatever it is.
There's actually, I haven't found a cheat code because you still have to, the same processes that worked before, you have to put in place.
Okay.
And if it's a process that needs to be managed by an expert, you have to bring that expert in. If you need someone to manage traffic, then you get someone to manage traffic. And if you need your status meetings, and so again, it's building that process because they won't do it. Someone has to do it for them because a good number of creatives will be like, it's not my job to figure that out. And we talked about silos earlier. There are a lot of people who are like, my job description is A to B, and that's that. Yeah. So if the ball was dropped because of something that wasn't in my JD, then that's not my problem.
That's not my problem.
It's not my problem.
But you can't say that as an entrepreneur, can you?
No, I can't.
Yes.
So because now the buck stops with me. So now I have to make sure that whatever ambiguity no longer exists, whatever processes or people or tools that need to be in place exist. Otherwise, you can't, I don't know. Managing creators is like, it's like babysitting.
Did you just say that?
It's like babysitting.
But you know something? Mm-hmm. So a friend of mine and I were talking about a senior pastor of ours who we both love dearly, and he's been through a lot of things. And these days he just talks bluntly. Yeah. And we say he's in his OG era, right? Because the things that he would have been very decorous about saying, these days he just says
you just have to say,
are you in your OG era?
I am, because I'm honestly at a point where I just tell people, this is it. This is what it is. The truth is, creatives, initially I used to say managing creatives is like trying to tame wild animals, but it's not that. It's like babysitting. Because kids are going to do things that you're like, why? Because their chaos is not organized chaos.
No, it's not.
Their chaos is not chaos where you can clearly see the motive. Yeah. Someone will not do something and you ask, like, you knew you had to, why didn't you? And there's no actual answer. So it's the same reason why you're minding your own business and there's a kid who's decided to throw the remote into the toilet.
And there's no reason
why. There's no reason. And they've gone to the pantry and now they've covered themselves in the sugar or flour. And you're like, why? And they're like, same thing with creatives. So you have to be ready for that understanding that you're going to walk into a wild situation. And it doesn't matter how much shouting or process you put into place, things are still going to go off. So you have to make sure, like kindergarten does it perfectly, there's structure. That
the sandboxes.
Exactly. So you have to figure out your sandboxes, your structure, your nap time, that is at the same time over and over, the way seating arrangements and the way groups are, that's process. So if you're going to look at how kindergartens manage these kids, that you'll find learnings on how to manage your creatives. Yeah.
You know, I'm glad I called you.
Yeah.
No.
I'm glad you called.
And I'll tell you why, Emran. Yeah. I think that there's so much talent across our continent.
Yes.
But we've also mystified a lot of things.
Yes.
And having some of these honest conversations about just being a creative, and you're a true creative, so you've earned the stripes to be able to have some of these conversations.
Yes. And the scars.
And the scars to go with it.
Yes.
And so when you say these things, I hope that for people who listen to this and creatives who listen to this, they also see how they are perceived sometimes and are able to make some of the small adjustments and the shifts that need to be made.
Yes.
For them to be their best selves. Because the goal is for them to be the best.
Yes.
Not to be stifled or regimented or put in a box, but it's
True.
just saying, I'm flawed, but what can I do to be different? Or what do I need to build around myself
Yes.
to just shine?
I think you're right. The one thing that I can say 100%, 110% is we do not lack for talent on the continent.
No, we don't.
It's exceptional. And there's meetings you're in or brainstorms you're in, and someone says something, you're like, how do we have this much talent and we're not as dominant as we can be on a global stage? But then it's that people are not exposed to how things should be done. And this process, craft is a process.
It is.
How do I get this beautiful vase from clay to the best possible version it can be?
Yeah.
And it's going to take time, and you learn little tricks and nuggets here. But then, are people willing to spend their time? No, they're not. There's the whole Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours, and I keep telling people it's up to you. You can do those 10,000 hours over 20 years, or you can do them maybe over 5, 6, 7. It's really up to you. There's no shortcut, I guarantee you this, because I've looked for it. And I did look for that shortcut. It doesn't exist. So a lot of these young people just need to understand they need to consistently try and put their best foot forward. And how? It's waking up every day and playing their part. Being, as you said, the best version. If you're a junior and you've been given the flyer to design,
Make it the kick-ass.
make it the illest flyer you could ever make. And how do you know it's the illest flyer? Because you've gone and done your research and seen other flyers and said, cool, what fonts? You've not just put something based on the little that you know. You've tried to quickly figure out and learn and compare yourself to the best, not in your village, not in your city, not in your country or your continent, in the world. You say, I want to have, if this is an amazing flyer, it has to be the best flyer that ever existed. But we all wait for the big campaign, unfortunately. A lot of people wait for the big campaign and they don't realize the lessons are in the training, not on the Champions League final. You know. So that's that. You know, how you train is how you play. Isn't that what they say in sports? So it's in that Sunday training where you're doing a bit of extra work that you're going to do the thing that happens in the final. You don't shine at the final stage or wait for the final stage to shine. If you're not shining in training, you will never shine. You'll never shine at the Champions League final. Never going to happen. So it's that, yeah.
Your weirdest, I'm now the boss moment.
Weirdest, I'm now the boss moment. So to be honest, I think the stuff that's been weirdest for me is the other side of the business, which is, again, the call from the revenue authority, the call from the CEO to directly voice his dissatisfaction. My case might be a bit unique because, you see, majority of the time I've been in this industry, I've actually been a boss. Yes. I've been in leadership, I think, after 5, 6 years. So if I've been in this for 20 years, nearly 75%.
Yeah.
So a lot of the stuff that you start realizing as a boss, like, which about 7 years, I noticed how people will always laugh at your jokes if they're not.
Even if they're not funny, it's like,
they're not funny. And I was like, there's a point where I'm like, let me throw a joke in here. Because I was cracking some jokes and I'm like, I know my funny jokes. This is not necessarily
the funniest.
One of the funniest. And these guys were dying. So I'm like, I'm going to throw a joke that I'm 100% certain is not funny. And I dropped a joke and these guys were like, and everyone was dying. I'm like,
yeah, okay. I'm the boss.
I'm the boss now. So it's things like that. But the craziest I'm the boss moment. There's something that happens when you're the boss or the owner in terms of a lot of the people you interact with. And there's some people at a very senior level who, even if you're senior, your group chairman would be the only person to talk to them, or the group CEO would be the only person to talk to them. Now you're talking to them, and then you're in the same room with a group CEO who's running 18 companies with 2,000 to 10,000 employees, and I'm there with my humble number of employees, and we're on the same table. So it's those kind of moments where you're like, I'm here, and you look around and you're like, I know that guy, and I know that lady, and I know the 20,000 people that person is in charge of, and I know the $30 million a month that person is in charge of, but they just asked for my opinion. So, okay, cool, here's my opinion. So it's that. I think that's this is what it means at a certain extent to be the boss, to be on those tables. But I think what it really means, which a lot of bosses need to understand, and it's something I only figured out about 5, 6 years ago as well, a lot of people think that being the boss means that you have people working for you. It is the other way around. It's you working for people.
Servant leadership.
Exactly. Because as I said, it's 2 a.m. tonight, I'm probably going to be in the office trying to figure something out. Guys will be at home with their families chilling. My family is going to be at home, and my son's going to be asleep having said, but Dad, I thought you were coming home early. But I need to grow a business, to grow this platform, to ensure that the families that feed from my business are constantly fed. You see, I can't turn around and be like, oh, I can't pay you guys this month. That means school fees, etc., and so on.
Yeah.
So making sure also you grow it to a point that they can also grow. Because the same people I have will one day want to maybe become group creative directors or group CEOs. That means my footprint has to expand. And in the other markets that I'm in, I need greater presence to ensure that person X who's performing well in this office can be moved to that office. So I'm working to create those spaces for them. They won't see it that way though.
No.
That's not their problem. That's that's your thing. They won't see it that way, but it's something you figure out. And the moment you start doing that, growth actually starts to come as a leader, because now you're serving people rather than sitting and waiting for people to serve you. Yeah.
I feel like we've had this conversation in such a organic fashion.
Yeah.
And I hope people listen to this and they feel their heart swells the way my heart is swelling.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, advice for young creatives, anything you want to share? One thing I would like to ask before you get into final thoughts actually would be a big part of when you just spoke about you would be cracking something too late.
Yes.
That work-life integration, at what point in time do you think it kicks in a balanced fashion for yourself?
So it's something that I've grappled with, especially now that I have children who require my attention. And it's something I'm conflicted by, because the more I work towards work-life balance, the more I find myself in a situation where it becomes inevitable. I feel it's going to be inevitable that balance may never be perfect.
Yeah.
And the thing I haven't gotten to that point, but I'm coming to the realization that I think it's a matter of choice. I don't think you can have your cake
and eat it.
Exactly. So if it's greatness and legacy that I desire, there's a sacrifice that has to be made, and that is a time-based sacrifice. And if I want to leave generational wealth for my children, there's a probability that they'll have to choose, or I'll have to choose for them, that I'll not be as present. The moments that I'm there, I fully immerse myself. So the moment I get to go home and the kids are still awake, they haven't gone to sleep, I'm full dad mode, and we're bedtime story, and nothing else matters. But then the reality is, this is something that comes with the territory. I was telling someone the other day who set up a business, and I've now gotten decent money. They're complaining about, oh, but people always asking for money. Then the other day I found this employee trying to steal from me. Then Gava is trying to steal from me. I'm like, here it comes with the territory. So if you don't want people to ask you for money, stay broke. People don't ask broke people for money. You know, if you don't want the government to follow up on you on taxes, don't make the kind of money that the government's interested in. If you don't want a situation where people, well, it sucks that people want to steal from you. There's processes you'll have to put in place, but then don't have a profitable business where people are coming in and, you know, the things that come with the territory. If you're going to be a powerful politician, people are going to insult you.
Yes.
There's no one who's going to be president of a country and not be insulted every single day. So if it becomes a problem for you, then you don't belong there.
Yeah.
It comes with the territory. So this path of greatness to achieve what maybe generations before me didn't have, to open up certain platforms, is going to come with
It's a price.
It is a price. So I choose either to be regular and spend all the time and have great time and go for walks on the weekend and spend time with the family and let's go and bake cakes together. That would be great. I would love that. But then I'm not going to be able to leave them a generational wealth. I hope and I pray that I can get there at an accelerated rate, that then I can taper off. Like you see a lot of older people who've made their money now get to taper off, and you know, if you have the process in place, you ideally can take 90 days off, or you have the right team. But I do know companies that allow that sort of freedom take years to build. Yeah. So the moment I find that shortcut, I will freely share it. I hope it comes sooner than later so I can spend time with my son as a teenager, especially when they're problematic. But yeah, I have come to the realization that that's a sacrifice I'll have to choose to make.
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked this question because as a mom who's having to be away from my kids, and also even when I'm present in the same location with them, I've had to spend significant amounts of time working. And the decision and the choices I've had to make, and just having to make sure I'm fully present for them. Because I think as a dad, you have a bit of a get out of jail card that I don't have the luxury of having. And just being able to work out that balance. And I just wanted to get a perspective from you, how you saw that.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to hear your perspective. I understand it. My thoughts have always been that once I've lost the time, it's difficult to recover.
True.
So how do I then create that split that gives them as much as I can possibly? Because I also know that the life I want to give them is dependent on the income that I make.
Yes.
I'm under no illusion. And so how do I create that balance? And so I do hope that you find
the
balance in that messy middle as well.
True.
Because it is important. But thank you. Final thoughts?
Just before you get final thoughts, just to clarify on the last thing you said as well, it's key to understand that what I've spoken about, that time sacrifice, I have the luxury of that. And unfortunately, it's a societal thing.
Yes.
As a man, if I do that, people are like, yeah, that's expected. In your case, as a woman,
it's not.
And I'll give a perfect example. My firstborn was born. 3 days later, I dropped my firstborn at home with my wife, his mother. And that same afternoon, I'm on a plane to Rwanda to work on something for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And when I say, hey, I just had a kid born 3 days ago, everyone was like, oh my God, he's dedicated, he's focused. If my wife does that,
she's irresponsible.
Like, she's irresponsible.
She's not motherly enough.
She's not motherly. And that's why you find even at very senior levels in our industry, you find a lot of female creatives who taper off. And I think it's unfair. I think it's a problem that society has to fix. So I don't have the answer to that. But it's not balanced. Men have the privilege to do that, what I'm talking about. Women at this stage, until something changes in society.
No, it has been tough. But I and that's why I say that it's a messy middle.
Yes.
And once you're not in it, you don't necessarily always understand. It's easy to be judgmental and critical of other people.
Yeah.
And so I try and stay as neutral. It's one of the areas where I stay neutral because you never know what someone's reality is.
Yeah.
But I might also over-index on trying to want to be more in my daughter's lives, right? And, providing a support system and making the time.
Yeah.
But it's not easy. I can tell you that for free.
It's not.
Because there are times since I've been here, for example, I talk to each of them for each day, at least an hour each.
So you cut
So
off
can
those
you
blocks.
imagine what that means? It means that I'm going to bed really late.
Yes.
But I can't afford not to talk to them because they will download, they will whine, they will talk about schoolwork, they'll talk about their friends, and it's important. So one of my daughters has, but I do have a support system where my younger daughter will say, you know what, you're not available, I'm calling auntie this.
Oh, yes.
So it's good to have that support system as well.
One of the dope things about Africa is that support system.
It is.
Yeah.
And then, one of the aunties calls and says, she says A, B, C, D, and it's nice to have that tight crew of maybe three friends who your daughters can call if they can't reach you. So.
Very true. So yes. And now you said final words.
Yes.
To creatives.
To creatives, to the universe,
which is
to the
world.
The
main camera? Is this the main camera?
Yes.
This is the main camera.
That's your main camera.
I'll speak to everyone, but let me assume I'm talking to a younger version of me, and I'll assume there's many young creatives out there. What I'll say to you is, the world is full of people who will doubt you, but you cannot be one of them. I understand crippling self-doubt is part of being a creative. You doubt whether it's good enough, you doubt whether you belong. The fact is, if you're in the room, you belong, and you need to start behaving like you belong. Yes, your palms might be sweaty. Yes, you might feel like, oh my God, there's people at a level beyond me. You're in that room. You were invited in that room. Behave like you belong. Keep your self-doubt for when you're at home. When you're going to bed, fine, doubt yourself. But that idea, do it. That concept that you want to bring to the world, do it. That business that you want to start, do it. You'd rather, in my opinion, be like Icarus, who flew too close to the sun, then fell and died, than to never take off. So please, whatever it is, don't be one of your own doubters. Don't. Just do that thing that you say or in your mind, that dream that's been in your mind, attempt it. Fail, it's fine. Pivot, it's fine. Say you tried and you gave up, you were not able to do it, it's fine. But never be in a position where you'll be that 97-year-old man or lady in bed asking, what if? Don't do that to yourself. Believe in yourself. Let everyone else doubt you, but at least be the one person, apart from your mom, obviously, who believes in yourself. Yeah, that's it.
You were talking to Z, because Z's just started a new business.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure he's thinking and he's looking at you and he's so proud.
Yeah.
So the last thing I'm going to do is make you a quick cocktail or mocktail. So now to what I normally term the fun part of this.
Yes.
I've made you a concoction of a mocktail.
Yes.
You're only required to tell me one flavor that you taste.
Okay.
And that's it.
One flavor that I taste.
Yes, there you go. So stir it up.
All right.
There you go. Cheers.
There's a juice in there. Wait. I suck at figuring out what flavors are.
Don't worry, you're not alone in this.
Is there like a berry juice in here? Do I get any clues?
It is a berry kind of juice, yes.
But it's not cranberry.
No, it's not cranberry. It would have been a bit sour, wouldn't
See? But then I'm lost, I swear.
it? So there's a bit of there's a bit of pomegranate.
That's what it is.
That's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it is.
yeah.
That's the berry juice.
That's a berry element.
And a hint of lychee.
I'd have never figured it out.
You would never.
I'd have never figured that out.
Anyway, thank you so much.
The
The
basic
basic
flavors.
ones.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate
Thank you
you.
for having me. I appreciate being invited.
All right then, it's a wrap.